How's everyone doing? I am glad you showed up. Thank you. Tonight's going to be a chill stream. Ooh, let me lower the volume here. Like that. So, yeah, tonight's going to be a chill stream. By that, I mean I don't have that much prepared, but hopefully we should have fun. Part of I feel like I say this all the time. Like, part of this is an experiment in figuring it out and exploiting my willingness to fail in public. And I gotta say, on nights like tonight, this is gonna be a test of my real gumption as a streamer, so to speak. If you're watching this after the fact, I do this every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. I wish you were here. That's another thing I'm going to be experimenting with. The How early do I make my streams public? I don't know what to like. Theoretically, I could make like upcoming streams for like the next 3 or 4 weeks because they're already scheduled in my YouTube studio. But I don't see like a lot of people doing that. That's why I'm not. But I think I'll experiment with making them public longer and longer ahead of time. Yeah. So let's see here. I A funny thing happened the other day. Actually, I do my groceries once every 2 weeks, roughly. I stock up. I don't want to take unnecessary chances. Uh, and speaking of unnecessary chances, that's why the heart and soul of my entire COVID strategy is to focus on immune boosting supplementation. So, I think washing your hands, social distancing, wearing your mask indoors, and shit like that. Yeah, that's important, but ultimately, you just need to be around the wrong person once, and then you just get it. Or touch the wrong surface and touch your face between two hand washings, and that's why my goal is that if I get in contact with coronavirus, which I might have already, for my immune system to go full shock and awe all over that bitch. And yeah, that's why like supplements like vitamins, chaga mushrooms, and that kind of thing. The reason I'm saying this is because, and I don't take this every time I go to the shopping to the grocery store, but this particular time I happened to be sucking on a zinc lozenge, which I have. I slip them under my mask before going in. And the thing about sucking on a lozenge during a pandemic is that sometimes when the drippings from the lozenge go down the wrong pipe, you kind of cough. And I remember the first time that happened a couple months ago. I was thinking like, "Holy shit, this is." I gotta pay attention to this because I don't know when was the last time. When was the last time you sneezed or coughed in public? It's kind of something that you're mindful of these days. People are understandably nervous. So I'm vibing in the grocery store, sucking on my zinc lozenge, and water. Well, the the lozenge happened to go down the wrong pipe precisely as I was walking down an alleyway and crossing the paths of a couple people. Now, we were all wearing masks. It's mandatory here, no matter what your position is. If it's mandatory, all reason and evidence goes out the window. So I was absolutely surprised at how unresponsive the people around me were when I started coughing in their presence, even though it was under a mask. And if you're old enough to have have had liquid go down the wrong pipe. Like it's not just one, and that's it. It's like a couple good coughs to get that out. I was impressed by how well. I don't know if I was impressed or discouraged by how unresponsive everyone was, but I was impressed by how little I coughed compared to how much I normally would have in those circumstances. So that's what happened. Uh, One person watching, you got VIP access if you feel like chatting. If you don't, that's fine too. Again, if you're watching in the VOD, please like and ring the bell so you know when I go live next week. And I will. So yeah, as I mentioned before, I don't have much prepared this week. Honestly, like if I can end this stream with one usable segment and if I can exit this stream with one usable segment, that's going to be cool. The talking points that I published, I don't really expect that they're going to be usable segments, but hey, who knows? Maybe I'll score one out of the park. What else do I want to talk about? Oh man, I don't know what to expect for this, but I learned on Twitter this evening that tomorrow is Holocaust Remembrance Day. So I, you know, give my condolences to anyone still affected by that. Uh, and yet, one of my thoughts when I saw this, being that I was on Twitter, is that holy shit, some of the most vile things on Twitter are going to be said tomorrow. So, with all due deference, I'm also like strapping on the crash helmet for potential cancelings, justified or otherwise, that may or may not surface tomorrow. That's going to be interesting to watch. But again, uh, if you were affected by this in any way, my heart goes out to you. Uh, yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about, I this whole Trump impeachment thing. Uh, I don't like the idea of Congress or the Senate or whatever going after a private citizen. Like I understand that if he did something impeachable, then due process, all that shit. But it's kind of like his challenges of the election. Even if you're right, he didn't prove it in time, and kind of like what's happening in the Senate with this impeachment stuff. It's like he's out of office. Like it's too late. If he legitimately violated laws, then there's a process for that. But I don't think that process should be impeachment. That really uh, doesn't sit well with me. It's like if Trump murdered someone and we only discover the body, like when Biden is opening that closet for the first time. Like that's something that you should go after him for. But impeachment just feels like the wrong thing, and it's clearly personal, and I get it. Um, like Trump, depending on your perspective, he quite literally sicked a mob onto your place of work while you were there, and I get how people would how that could stay with people. If legitimately or otherwise, if I felt that you sent an angry mob to my place of work, it would that might stick with me for a while. Actually, I'm curious about something. Let me see here, because I was. Let me just make sure, because from what I understand, the goal of impeachment is really to get someone out of there by when they're deemed like not fit for office or whatever. Uh, Legal charges against a government official. So right there, it's in the word. Um, and again, this is Wikipedia. Take that for what it's worth. But impeachment is when you charge a government official, which Trump no longer is. So maybe there's something in here that I'm clearly not going to read in its entirety. That it just like at the very beginning of it, it kind of wait. Okay, yeah, Captain D says that it's about preventing him from running again, which maybe there's some like it just strikes me as weird. Like if your goal is to prevent him from running by doing something that you shouldn't be able to do, it's just weird. Let me see here. And if you I'm assuming you joined us a little later, Captain D. I have very little prepared. I don't expect to have a single usable segment by the time this stream ends, and you might get to see me if you stick around. You might get to see me water my crops in Stardew Valley, for which I have advanced greatly. I'm now in winter of year 2, whether or not I get to play. Uh, you know what? I think there's enough warm up here. It's 12 past the hour. Let me just grab a swig of water here. Let me see. So, I'm gonna record this anyway, just in case it ends up being usable. But my bar is very low. Ah, jeez. So, what am I doing here? Like that's a question that I've been asking myself, and that question runs deeper than it initially appears. What I mean by that is like, and I've mentioned this on this channel before. We live in a post-fax world, and that that changes the very role that facts and logic and evidence and things like that play in public discourse. Like for simple things, facts and evidence and reason are legitimate. Like which pen is blue and which one is red. That kind of shit. Or what is the humidity index average for the last month? These are things like simple. You can measure it with a ruler. That for sure, facts and evidence are great for that, and they're great for society in general. I mean, facts and evidence and the scientific method. It brought us the internet by which I'm communicating with you right now, this computer that I'm streaming on, and that kind of thing. But in the political in the fun conversations, the conversations that I like to have, I know how they people don't realize how much power confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance play. And I say this knowing that I'm subject to this myself as well. So it's like, man, I'm trying to think of an example that won't get me canceled. Okay, yeah. Let's see what I can do with this. Um, Despite being 13% of the population, black people commit 50% of the crimes in the US. Now, that stat is true. Even progressives recognize that. The question is, like, what does it matter? Someone like a fascist would use that as evidence that black people are just inferior and they can't help but steal shit, and society would be better off if they went back to Africa or whatever. But progressives would see this as evidence of how black people are still affected by systemic racism, more specifically things like redlining and lead in the pipes, which will actually affect the development of your brain and shit like that. So no wonder they commit more crimes that way. So this is a really simple example of how when you present a fact, the impact that this has will it'll you have no control over it, and it'll have very little I feel it'll have very little impact on winning over the hearts and minds of someone who isn't already on board. Which leads me to what what am I doing here on this channel? Like I Nuxon says I'm canceled. Yeah, I probably already am. But yeah, I like dealing with facts and evidence, or at least that's the story I tell myself, you know? Uh, and yet I know that if I want to, let's say that I want to persuade some really hardcore, far gone progressive who thinks that, like an SJW progressive, like who thinks that being a cis white man is evil, uh, even if you're not personally evil, that by benefiting from the heritage of white privilege and shit like that, that if you're not actively fighting to dismantle the cis hetero white supremacist patriarchy, that you by your inaction is evil. Now let's say I wanted to convince this person that that that's not true, that not you know there are a lot of decent white dudes out there. Some of them are even cisgendered, and straight. Oh, uh, any any argument that I would have, like, think of the last time you were presented with a fact that contradicted your worldview, and it's the the main reactions to that is to either question the fact or question how it was obtained. Like, I remember watching this four-way battle royal where Destiny and Vosh were. God, I mentioned those two a lot. Destiny and Vosh were debating two neo Nazis, white nationalists or whatever, and the fuck. Why did I bring this up? Yeah, the thing that struck me about that debate was that uh, the the let's just call them Nazis, just as shorthand, and they probably are anyway. These Nazis would bring up studies, and Destiny and Vosh would point out how they were misrepresenting what the study itself says. A less a less loaded example, which I'm at least a little more familiar with, is the whole "do masks work" debate. That first of all, as soon as masks became mandatory here in Quebec, I lost all skin in the game. It's the law. I'm either going to obey or I'm going to engage in civil disobedience. And you know what? Of all the reasons to engage in civil disobedience, that's not the one I'm not gonna go for. So, especially as someone who's thought that masks were a good idea for almost a year at this point. Yeah, masks don't work. So I noticed that when a lot of people, first of all, I want to say that the scientific consensus is not as clear as you might think. There are a surprising assuming that you're pro-mask, there are a surprising number of experts who would dispute the effectiveness of widespread mask wearing. Uh, but when they when these experts would release a study or something, I noticed that a lot of these anti-maskers would exaggerate the point that was being made, and sometimes they would even skip over, like in the very abstract of this study that they're citing, that said, here, these experts conclusively prove that masks don't work, rah. And when you open it up and you read the abstract, in the fucking abstract of the paper, it says, "Yeah, we think that we think that wearing masks is a good idea, but here are the issues that we found." It's really weird to me, and I it is my shorthand belief that reason and evidence in the interesting public discourses, like politics, ethics, that kind of thing, reason and evidence, they basically play the role of letting you tell yourself that you're smart. So this study that proves your point is something that you can lean on to maintain the narrative that you're a smart person. And the and again, I'm not excluding myself from this shit, but that is the role that I believe facts and evidence play, which means that if I was to persuade someone, it would be someone who's like right on the cusp and who just needs that final little nudge to get on board. I remember, hey, Vosh alert. There's this very famous, at least within that circle of the internet, a famous debate that Vosh had with Hunter Avalon on trans people, and that debate basically caused Hunter to become a progressive, like shortly thereafter. And to me, that says that he was ready. This is a yes, Mr. Kaufman, Vosh again. I fucking warned you. This is now a Vosh tribute stream. There you go. Nocturne, you're spelling his name right. After this stream, you can Google him. He's a progressive YouTuber. Vosh. Vosh is a progressive YouTuber who helped me a lot on to be more sympathetic to progressives. That's the shorthand that I'm giving now. I'm derailed. Focus. What was I saying? Yes. So after this debate, Hunter Avalon became a progressive, basically. I don't know how hardcore he is, but I know that that's kind of the story that's being told, and I know that Hunter Avalon's been posting lex more left leaning shit. And another example was in my personal life when I was first introduced to the ideas, the non-aggression principle, and the idea of how, you know, theft is theft no matter what fancy title you give yourself, no matter what percentage of your local population agrees with you. That argument basically switched me from a softcore socialist to a libertarian, like within days, like 2 or 3 days, I'm talking. And yeah, I believe the student was ready, and the teacher appeared and gave the final nudge that was needed to to get you on board. That's why when I say things like, I know how unpersuasive I sound, or I know how unpersuasive I am to people who don't agree with me, it's that kind of shit that I'm talking about. Because the thing to keep in mind is, to the person experiencing it, there is no difference between cognitive dissonance and accurately observing the universe. When you're in cognitive dissonance, you can't know. You can only recognize it in other people, sometimes falsely, and that's, yeah. It's impossible for you to tell. And that's why, and let me, this is going to be a good demonstration. Yeah, let me just fetch this on my computer here. Some of you may remember a couple months ago, I took the Sapley political quiz, which is basically a political quadrant quiz with a progressive axis on the side of it, and I scored. Where is my shit? Let me just find it. Oh no, I know where I put it now. I didn't put it in there. Doo-doo-doo. So yeah, first of all, I want to mention a friend of mine noticed that I accidentally double clicked on an answer and therefore gave the exact opposite answer. So I retook the quiz again a little later, and I yeah, like in the video itself, I was roughly halfway down on the libertarian axis and one square to the left, but I had accidentally said that I strongly believe communism can work in practice, which is the opposite of what I think. So I retook the quiz, painstakingly making sure that to the best of my ability, I gave all the same answers except for that one, and I'm like halfway down one square to the right. So when I call myself a centrist, I'm not kidding. Shit, I know. I can't find the file that I'm looking for, and it's pissing me off. Let me see if I can, because there's a really useful thing that I want to show you, and this is a great opportunity to show it to the world. Come on. So it's, oh yeah, I think I know where it's going to be in here. No. Here. Here. Yes, okay, so, okay, so as I was just saying, this is the actual result. So I'm roughly halfway down here, one square to the right. And on the progressive axis, I'm pretty progressive, thanks to Vash, who I keep mentioning. So, having seen that, one of my friends, and I'm going to switch between this and full camera mode because I don't want to show you my file system. I'm paranoid like that. Let me see. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, I could have done this whole time. So yeah, having recently taken this test, a friend of mine later shared me this thing, which is, and I'm not knowledgeable enough in the in theory to know how on point all these different political schools of thought are regarding where they're placed. Like, for instance, honestly, it's really confusing to me that Nazism and fascism are so close to the center. I would expect them to be more to the right, or at least that's definitely where they are in common parlance. So right there, that suggests that you should take this with a grain of salt. But the thing that is more relevant to this is this part right here. So let me zoom out just a little bit. So yeah, me being around here, it made me focus on this, and to the point where let me zoom out all the way again. To the point where I actually took a little I actually cut out this 3x3 square. Basically, and again, I'm not going to. You can read up on theory all you want. As far as affecting the price of tea in China and shit, like reading more theory, it's not. reading theory affects change much further down the stream of time that than I'm interested in right now, even potentially. So I focus. I read like the first paragraph of geolibertarianism, and it made a lot of sense to me. I think that this is something that I can get behind. But my point is, if you are out there, if you are outside of this 3 by 3 grid right here, there is nothing I can do for you. And I understand that if you're outside of this, everything I say is gonna sound like a whiny little ass bitch baby who doesn't get it, who's an idealist and all that shit. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm gonna focus on the people that I can reach, the people to whom I can give that last little nudge to get people on board. I really like that. That market socialists are within this circle. I've always felt, by standards of being left of center, I think market socialists are people that I've felt kinship with. I've always been, anarcho-capitalist is a label that gets thrown around a lot, and I've often told my ANCAP friends, like, I really don't care who owns the means of production. I just care that the market is free. I've never had a problem with worker co-ops. That's Hey, if you wanna build your little hippie commune and have a little factory that you all collectively own or whatever, you have my blessing. Uh, Let me just read the chat a little. Okay, yeah, Mr. Kaufman. So, from what I understand of market socialism, it's really it's a heavy decommodification of a lot of things like housing and education and things like that. Like, Terra land is something that I have a big problem with. It's fucking tricky, and that's why. First of all, I went on this spiel when I took the quiz a couple months ago. But geolibertarianism, right at the center here, the summary on the Wikipedia is basically that it's like everything should be to the free market, but and that's kind of my position. So market socialists, they would market socialists, for the most part, they would allow for markets for things like luxury goods and things like that. So they really want to decommodify as many things as possible. All the means of production would be collectively owned by the people who work in their respective businesses, and but there's still like markets for things like, I guess, sneakers or luxury cars or things like that. I don't know how that would work, but the bottom line is, remember earlier when I said that facts and evidence only serve to let you tell a story about how smart you are to yourself, and how when a fact is presented to you that changes your position, you are really like circling around the goal, and that fact just like boop pushed you in. Um, yeah, no one knows how to get there from here. And I think that no matter where there is, no matter what you think here is, I think that people who have certainty about how to get there from here are either delusional or fucking liars. So yeah, I that's what gives me solace. So yeah, the question that I opened this segment with, what am I doing? I really don't know. But I hope that if first there are two things that I would like to see happen. So first of all, maybe there are people within this 3 by 3 grid who would stumble onto my stream and say, "Hey, libertarians aren't all crypto fascists and shit like that." Libertarianism has a crypto fascist problem. Absolutely. Holy shit. But to not get sidetracked, I would like to see either people within this grid here to at least get on board and get, you know, somewhere in this grid that's closer to me. Or another thing that I would like to see happen. Wait, hey, how come you can't work the way I want you to? Oh, that's why. The other thing that I would like to see happen is for, if I can't get people in this 3 by 3 grid here, maybe expand it to a 5 by 5 grid. You know, hey, the Nordic model. If you're some Swede or Norwegian who likes your model, hey, maybe I can get you on board with that. Uh, that would be great. And maybe someday I'll get a 7 by 7 grid as my skills in rhetoric improve. Because man, I wish it wasn't so, but the name of the game is rhetoric. Um, God, I'm lamenting this. I'm not supporting this, but Jesus Christ, um, it's all about the rhetoric in the modern parlance. And if I can either um, convince more people within this grid to get on board, or expand my sphere of influence, where maybe I can even get, I don't know. Okay, I don't feel like picking one out, but let's say the Christian conservatives. Holy shit! How many squares away is that? One, two, three, four, five. I'm counting like in D&D. One, two, three, four, five, whatever. So yeah, that would be great too. Uh, yeah, I don't know which one will happen, but I hope I hope that I can leave some mark to make the world a better place. And on that note, I will end this segment. If you like this, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment. I am so curious to know what you think. I wasn't even convinced I was going to upload this at all. And if you're watching this and you're curious what I'm about, you can subscribe and ring the bell so that you know when I go live. I do this every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. So on that note, you take care. Thank you so much for watching this far. Thanks. I'll see you soon. Well, that went much better than expected. Holy shit. Let me read the chat here. Uh, Let me read the chat. Yeah, Kaufman. Free markets with social safety nets. I think that would be closer to the Nordic model. Like what you're describing, a free market with safety nets. I believe that like that doesn't have a bigger that doesn't have as strong a focus on decommodification that I hear a lot of market socialists talk about. So yeah, that seems closer to what I believe that would be. And I'm not surprised that you could get behind that. I've seen your Sapley political quiz results. Um, what else? There's a specific form of libertarianism that calls for the abolishment of landlords. Might be geo-libertarianism or a fork of it. I don't know. I don't know enough, and I'm not. I don't know. I can't elaborate on me not knowing without rambling like I kind of just did now. So yeah, and people are not in box as much as this graph suggests. Absolutely. Ultimately, we're all individuals, Nocturne, and you know, if you believe if you are within a school of thought to the point where you don't even question its own edicts, you're not thinking for yourself. You're dogmatic. That's why I remember. Ooh, can I find that tweet? Can I find that tweet in a reasonable amount of time? Ooh, let me see. This is going to be a test. Actually, yeah, we're vibing here. Uh, yeah, Mike DeYoung. The link to the test is in the Sapley political quiz video that I shot recently. Let me. It's one of my recent videos, but I'll still show you where it is here. Okay, so it's this one here. Am I still an ANCAP? I took the Sapley political. You don't have to watch this video. You can if you want to, but the reason I'm yeah, the link to the quiz is below as well as the correction for it. And also, I found the tweet that I was looking for. If you're all the way in either corner of the political compass, you're too dogmatic to be taken seriously. Like, yeah, to your point, Nuktzone, like the I it baffles me when someone takes a political compass quiz and is all the way in either corner. The people that I vibe with are in the bottom half. Hashtag bottom half unity. But if someone like scores all the way in the corner and like brags about it, I'm like, thanks for outing yourself, sheep. Jesus Christ. All right. That segment went way better and way longer than I thought, but I'm happy. This is going to be another example of me. I'm just going to prepare the next segment. We might actually go long tonight. There's two bits of good news right now. We might go a little long, and I will not have to play Stardew Valley, which I had announced. Like, while I'm preparing for this, I just want to be real with y'all. I've become addicted to Stardew Valley to the point where it's becoming a problem. And I mean that in the classical addiction sense, where playing Stardew Valley has begun interfering with things. And yeah, what triggered that addiction is unlocking the greenhouse. That was like the tipping point for me. Ever since I've unlocked the greenhouse, I've become like kind of obsessed with organizing it, and you need iridium to get those iridium sprinklers so that you can maximize that greenhouse and shit like that. So that's part of the reason why I was not as prepared for tonight as I would like. But hey, if this stream so far is me not being prepared, holy shit, I'm golden. As I said in the at the beginning of this stream, tonight's going to be a test of my real gumption as a streamer. And you know what? In the worst case, because the part of me preparing to becoming a good streamer, if worst case scenario, I have to play Stardew Valley for an entire hour in front of zero people because I have nothing and no one wants to see me play, well, I'm just going to do it because the habit is what matters the most. And it's in the habit that I become good. Like, one of these days, I'll be able to interact with the chat while I'm in my flow, in my stream of consciousness, without getting sidetracked too much. So, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Noctil. Nice meme. All right, let's. Ooh, there's one more thing that I can do to prepare. And yeah, I really don't want to go long, so if I might like just cut it a little short at the end. We'll see what happens. Uh, ooh, and another thing, no. All right. So I'm in front of my computer on Friday, vibing, checking the crypto stocks or the crypto ticker. Spoiler alert. Actually, no, this is not a spoiler alert. Um, this is a public service announcement. Checking the price of cryptocurrency multiple times a day is bad for your mental health. Uh, don't do it. I don't follow my own advice, but you should. So yeah, I was vibing and I noticed this big dip here. You know, I've mentioned this on the stream before. I don't trade crypto. I have no intentions of. I'm a buy and hold guy. I the my main motivation for to learn the skills of technical analysis is to detect a good deal when I buy and hold my crypto, my Bitcoin. And when I saw this, let me just get rid of this. When I saw this, I was like, we got a deal coming. Unfortunately, the market has traded sideways since, but I really like this. And when I shared my excitement with a friend, he mentioned that there had been a rumor that that was behind this, that was behind this big red candlestick on the 21st, which is this right here. There was a stale Bitcoin block today. Honestly, just as a preamble to this, I'm not an expert in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. I know enough about the basics to be comfortable enough, but I know that there are a bunch of people who are way more knowledgeable about this shit than I am. But that being said, we'll come back to that. So yeah, there was a stale block today. I don't even know what a stale Bitcoin block is, but anyway, at the height, slush pool has been beaten. Like Jesus Christ, this has been on screen long enough. You can read this. It appears as if a small double spend of around $21 worth of Bitcoin was detected. And looking at this screenshot here, is this viewable on screen? That's good enough. Yeah, I checked this out before the stream because I didn't want to be in full discovery mode in front of y'all tonight. And when I read, where is it? When I read this, one transaction involving Bitcoin has been double spent on the longest chain, I said, "What the fuck?" out loud. Um, the notion that Bitcoin can be double spent at all is ludicrous. I will come back to that shortly. But let me continue this thread here. A transaction in the losing chain sent this much Bitcoin to this address, and a transaction on the winning chain spent the same inputs, only sent to. Man, I'm reading this right now. This appears that this looks like the person who wrote this doesn't understand how blockchain works. Uh, like the whole point of a losing chain is that when the chain loses, it never happened. This is ridiculous. And you know what? I'm gonna skip to the end of this because as I explained a couple seconds ago, I'm not an expert in Bitcoin by any means or in cryptocurrency. However, do you think, let's see here. I think that the real story in this is that this rumor exposed how many people are in Bitcoin who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Now, I have the advantage that I have a technical background, so when I'm reading white papers, even though what's covered in the white paper, even the parts that fly over my head, I can still understand them enough to get a grasp of this. Do you think, in the Bitcoin white paper here, a purely do you think that a paper that has these opening lines in their abstract would so easily permit a double transaction? A purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. Digital signatures provide part of the solution, but the main benefits are lost if a trusted third party is still required to prevent double spending. I, I the prevention of double spending is brought up in line 4 of the fucking abstract for Bitcoin. So the notion that uh, uh, the notion that I've been aware of Bitcoin back when it was only worth a couple dollars. Whoops. Oh, wrong. There we go. I was aware of Bitcoin back when it was only worth a couple $100. Back when it was only worth a couple dollars, and when Bitcoin like broke like 300 or whatever, that was a huge deal. If And this is just me being a layman, really. Uh, if it was possible to cheat blockchain to the point where you can double spend Bitcoin, when it hit like $300 or $400, there was enough excitement where someone would have found out how to do it. It's kind of ludicrous, but that being said, the real story is that the mere rumor of double spending Bitcoin was enough for a bunch of people who have no idea what the fuck they're investing in to freak out, and it got me a decent deal on Bitcoin. I'll say you that. But yeah, to the I was so shook that I went on Imgflip and made this little pithy. Uh, People who believe you can double spend Bitcoin. Uh, Sorry, guy. Like you to fuck with the blockchain, you would need a computer or a system of computers powerful enough to overpower the rest of the network. And to just know that in the broad sense, it kind of makes the notion of a double spend absolutely ridiculous. So, in the spirit of education, I looked at this earlier, and I don't. I'd like to read it with y'all to educate myself a little, and hopefully educate you. Lucas Newsy, who am I following him? I'll add him to a list later. I was reading an article about this double spend rumor, and he published a Twitter thread that we will read together. Oh, actually, let me just vet something because scrolling on Twitter is not without its risks. Okay, cool. So the thread is uninterrupted. So let's read this together, and we'll see what we can learn. There is an alarming amount of misinformation fueled by the media on what exactly happened to Bitcoin yesterday and whether funds were double spent. Here's everything you need to know. On the 18th, a user broadcast a transaction with very low fees. When users underpay fees, their transactions get stuck because the miners have more profitable opportunities. The users are left with two options. A, wait till the fee level drops. B, tell miners that they will increase fees. You see, in my understanding of blockchain, like I've been in a similar situation where I wanted to send Bitcoin to myself, and I was trying to be a cheapskate on the fees, and like I didn't even know that you could tell people that you wanted to pay more. I'll learn more. This is where I decided that I wanted to read this on stream. The What happened to me was after I sent myself the Bitcoin and it disappeared from the wallet that I was sending my Bitcoin from. I spent a very scary couple of days wondering where the fuck my Bitcoin was. And then later in a couple days later, basically, the Bitcoin was magically back in my original wallet. Because the idea is, if if a block is added to the blockchain without a transaction in it, that transaction never happened. And I guess at some point it timed out and my Bitcoin just reappeared in my wallet. So I sent it back to myself for a higher fee. And bingo, bongo, everything's cool. Let's continue. So, the most popular way is to increase fees on an already broadcast transaction. Wait, sorry, let me rephrase that. Let me reread that. Oh, no, I don't want any. The most popular way to increase fees of an already broadcast transaction is through a replace by fee transaction. I have no idea what this is. Put simply, RBF is a copy paste of the original transaction with higher fees and an explicit instruction to favor the new transaction instead. Okay, this is probably hard coded. I doubt, because I know you can add comments to a Bitcoin transaction, but I doubt like just saying, "Hey, please ignore the first one," isn't, because you're speaking to computers. When we're talking about tipping the miners, we're talking about speaking to the computer that they're using to mine. So it's code. Where was I? Yeah. Nearly a day passed after our infamous user broadcast the original transaction and miners did not include it. So the user decided to use RBF on the 19th with higher fees, but not high enough. And the transaction was again stuck. Oh, you cheapskate. You get what you pay for, biatch. A couple hours later, the user decided to bump fees up again via a second RBF. This time around, the user paid enough fees. So to recap, the user broadcast a total of three transactions. One here, so on the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th. I don't know what a SAT B is. Oh, a Satoshi. Okay. A Satoshi, I think, is 1 billionth of a Bitcoin. Let's Satoshi. 100. So it's a 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. How many zeros is that? So that's 0.000000001 Bitcoin, roughly. Don't quote me, said he live on stream. Okay, so here's where things get more complex. At around 1:18 a.m., the blockchain split into two versions, which is an entirely normal occurrence, a fundamental part of how Bitcoin works. Yeah, the fundamental thing of blockchain is the longest chain is the correct one, and that's it. And that's why to fuck around with it, you'd need to overpower the entire processing power of the Bitcoin network, which is what makes the very notion of a double spend so ludicrous to people who know this very basic fact. Shit, I sidetracked myself. Yeah, when this happens, one plus times per month, miners need to converge on a single version of events, which often takes around one block or 10 minutes. However, by the time the user broadcasts the third transaction, fee levels had quieted down and the chain was split. One miner picked the first low level, one miner picked the first transaction with a low fee for their version of the chain. The other miner picked up the third, the highest fee RBF transaction. The thing about RBFs, and I learned that RBFs were a thing a couple minutes ago. So the thing about RBFs is that they're entirely optional. Miners decide which transaction to pick. In this occasion, it might have looked like a malicious double spend, but it's a completely normal event. The chain was split for one block, again, normal. But ultimately, the miner on the branch with the low fee transaction ended up winning. The important thing to know is that yes, there might be different versions of the same transaction, but only one will ultimately be accepted. The longest block wins. Follow this man. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, I'll check him out later. Here, let me give you a little shout out. This Bitcoin engineer and researcher made a helpful timeline of events using Coinmetrics data. We'll circle back to this because there isn't much more left to this thread. Again, let's do it now. Oh, this isn't as intuitive as I thought. So oh shit. Again, this is when I say that my computer science background is rusty. I kind of get it, but not enough. Like, yeah, it was a mistake to open this. I shouldn't have come here. This stream is over. No, I'm kidding. So, again, RBFs in stale blocks is business as usual. No reason to freak out. No inflation. No double spend was actually confirmed. Just a ton of loud ignorance and misinformation. Hell yeah. This is a wake-up call for crypto media. Looking at you, crypto and Cointelegraph. Oh, one thing that I'll say, when I saw this, like whoever whoever works on Fork Monitor, you need whoever works on Fork Monitor, you need to take a serious look in the mirror. Like wow. All right. So coming back, whoops, that's my meme. Here. So, this is a wake up call to crypto media. You benefit by serving crypto ads. Wait, you benefit by serving crypto ads. I urge you to, at the very least, understand your responsibility and step up your technical game. How about sponsoring a Bitcoin developer? Another clarifying point, BitMEX Research is doing an amazing job for the community with Fork Monitor. Oh, I just got pwned, like right now in real time. I just fucking went full screen telling whoever works on Fork Monitor that you need to take a look in the mirror. And this person, who's highly more knowledgeable than I am, just fucking bitch slapped me right back down into my seat. So, hey, he wins. I'm sorry, Fork Monitor, for what I just said a couple minutes ago. This guy, I'm just gonna bow to his knowledge. So anyway, their depiction of what happened was accurate. Unfortunately, their post was grossly misrepresented and misrepresented for clickbait. This kind of circles back to what I was talking about last week. I was the dog right there when I saw this, and I just went on this rant about how basically they should essentially be ashamed of themselves. I'm the dog. Uh, I am Snickers wondering why Scott Adams won't take me outside to play with me. This was just so far beyond my comprehension. So, apologies again. This video is probably going to get like 100 views at most. We'll see. I don't know how I missed this, but make sure to check out his. Okay, this is another shout out. So this goes into much richer detail, but I will link this thread in the show notes, actually. For those of you who haven't seen Lucas Nuzzi's face and profile here on screen long enough to already follow him at your leisure, I will still link to that in the show notes. So listen, that was very interesting. I didn't know that you could just manually tell people, "Hey, I'm willing to pay more for this transaction." So that's really cool. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was entertaining for you. I fucking love crypto to the point where I would say if people if you're trading crypto as a means to make more dollars, as far as I'm concerned, you don't really get it. But on the other hand, it's totally not a currency. Holy shit. Like it's a currency in the abstract, but as far as the fluctuations, it's nuts. If someone I loved came up to me and said, "Hey Sid, you think I should get some Bitcoin?" I would say no. Uh, if you if you're responsible enough to know what Bitcoin is and what you're getting into, you already have some at this point. So if you're seeing the headlines of $40,000 US and that's when you're getting interested, and you didn't learn from the 20,000 bubble a couple years ago, like go forth in peace. Ah, man. Thanks again for watching. This was quite the roller coaster ride. I've never been so opinionated and smacked down by an expert in such a short amount of time. My head is still spinning. Hopefully, that was entertaining for you. If you like this, I do these streams every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. You can subscribe and ring the bell to know when I go live. If you don't, I would really love a thumbs up. That helps these videos a lot. And leave a comment. I'm curious to know what you think. On that note, thank you very much for watching again, and I'll see you soon. Wow, I think we did 2 for 2. And to those of you who missed my opening, I said very clearly, if I walk away from this stream with even one usable segment, that will be a huge victory. And now I'm at 2, so this is great. All right, we're 5 minutes past the hour. If someone has any burning issues, I will read up your chat. But man, this live stream went so much better than I expected. I'm really happy, and I'm happy for the turnout. Like right now, there are only two people watching, but I love you both. Thank you. Um, hey, if you're watching this in the VOD, mention something about pasta. If you leave a comment in the VOD mentioning pasta, it'll just let me know that you actually enjoyed this enough to watch all of this. For which, man, you're probably a super fan. Oh boy. All right. You two who are left, thank you so much for watching. Let me start up the. There we go. Yeah, baby. Um, Otis McDonald is one of the best musicians for royalty-free music on YouTube. It's fucking awesome. On that note, thanks again. I'll see you next Tuesday.